stop studying languages. Seriously, if you're relying on a 5-minute app streak and feeling motivated, you're going to burn out by next month. Today, I'm showing you how to build a system that makes fluency inevitable. But before we dive into the 3 pillars of this framework, do me a quick favor, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. I'm dropping deep dives on language systems every week, and you don't want to miss the next one. We've all been there. You get a sudden burst of inspiration at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday. You download the apps, you buy the $40 grammar book, and for 3 days, you are a warrior. You're going to be fluent by summer. But then, life happens. You get a late email from work, you're tired, or you hit a grammar rule that makes absolutely no sense. Suddenly, that motivation evaporates, and your 30-day streak becomes a tombstone for your ambitions. Here is the cold, hard truth. Motivation is a feeling, and feelings are unreliable. If you only study when you feel like it, you will never reach fluency. The people you see speaking 3 or 4 languages fluently aren't more gifted than you, and they don't have more willpower. They simply stopped studying and started building systems. In this video, I'm going to show you how to move away from the grind and build an automated architecture for your brain. We're going to break down the 3 essential pillars: input, memory, and output, so that learning your target language becomes as inevitable as brushing your teeth. Think of your brain like a high-performance engine. You can have the best transmission in the world, but if there's no fuel in the tank, you aren't going anywhere. In language learning, input is your fuel. Most people approach this backward. They try to speak to output before they've actually heard how the language is in real life. This leads to burnout because you're trying to squeeze water from a stone. Instead, we use a concept popularized by linguist Stephen Krashen: comprehensible input. The system here is divided into 2 categories. 1. Passive input, the background noise. This is about immersion. You aren't studying here, you're just living in the language. The goal: acclimatize your ears to the rhythm, tone, and speed of the language. The action: play podcasts, radio stations, or music in your target language while you're doing the dishes, driving, or at the gym. You don't need to understand everything. You're just soaking your brain in the sounds. 2. Active input, the 80-20 rule. This is where the real growth happens. You need to find content where you understand roughly 80% to 90% of what's being said. The goal: use the context of what you do know to bridge the gap to what you don't know. The action: use graded readers, books written specifically for your level, or YouTube channels like Easy Spanish or Italian Progressive. The golden rule of input: if it's boring, you won't do it. If it's too hard, you'll quit. Find the sweet spot where the content is interesting enough that you'd watch it in your native language anyway. Once you've got the fuel coming in, you need a place to store it so it doesn't just leak out of your head. That brings us to the warehouse. You've got the input flowing in, but there's a fundamental biological hurdle to clear. The human brain is effectively a professional at forgetting. Evolution has wired us to filter out useless noise, and unfortunately, your brain often categorizes French irregular verbs with the same level of indifference as what you ate for lunch 3 weeks ago. To move those words from your fleeting short-term memory into your long-term warehouse, you have to hack your biology using a spaced repetition system, SRS. This process is rooted in the forgetting curve, which illustrates how new information evaporates almost immediately unless it's reinforced. An SRS tool like Anki or Memrise intervenes by using an algorithm to present a word at the exact moment you are about to lose it. If you recall it correctly, the interval expands from 2 days to 5 days, then 2 months. But if you fail, the timer resets. This precision is what allows you to memorize thousands of words without the soul-crushing grind of staring at a textbook for 5 hours a day. However, the secret to making this data stick isn't just about timing. It's about sentence mining. Memorizing an isolated word like run is a sterile, often useless exercise. By shifting to sentences found during your input phase, you capture the word's vibe, its prepositions, and its grammar in one go. You aren't just memorizing a dry definition, you are internalizing a living meaning. Building this warehouse of knowledge ultimately relies on your daily habits rather than raw intensity. The 10-minute rule suggests that your memory system only functions if it's consistent. It thrives in the small gaps of your day, like waiting for an elevator or standing in line for groceries. In this system, quality over quantity is the golden rule. It is far more effective to learn 5 sentences a day and retain them forever than to attempt 50, only to quit by Friday because your review pile has become an insurmountable mountain. To keep the system lean and effective, you have to be ruthless. If a card is frustrating you or you've missed it 5 times in a row, delete it. Your SRS should be a sharp tool for progress, not a source of anxiety. Of course, having a warehouse full of words is a massive achievement, but if you can't actually deploy them in the real world, it's just dormant data. To turn that data into a living skill, we must transition to the final stage, the output system. If input is the fuel and memory is the warehouse, then output is the gym. You can watch as many Olympic weightlifting videos as you want and memorize the name of every muscle in the human body. But until you actually pick up the weight, you aren't getting stronger. In language learning, you don't wait until you're ready to speak. Rather, you speak specifically to become ready. This shift is necessary because of the massive gap between recognizing a word passively and recalling it in a split second during a conversation. To bridge that gap, you need a tiered system that begins with low-stakes output, or the warm-up. Before you ever face a native speaker, you need to get your mouth used to making the sounds through methods like self-talk, narrating your day as you make coffee or look for a spoon. It feels silly, but it builds the muscle memory of sentence construction. You can also leverage AI conversations with tools like ChatGPT voice mode. These bots don't judge or get bored, allowing you to pause and practice without social pressure. Eventually, however, you have to transition into high-stakes output, which is the heavy lifting of the language arena. You need the healthy stress of real human interaction to truly lock the language in. Whether you are using language exchange apps like HelloTalk or Tandem, or hiring a personal trainer through professional tutoring sites like Italki, this interaction forces your brain to treat the language as a survival skill. The overarching strategy here is to output early and output often, prioritizing communication over perfection. If you say, "I go store yesterday" instead of the grammatically perfect version, and the person understands you, you've won the point. You can always refine the grammar back in the warehouse, but the gym is strictly for getting your reps in. A system is only as strong as its weakest link. If you have the fuel, input, but no warehouse, memory, you're just a sieve. If you have a warehouse but never go to the gym, output, you're just a collector of useless data. To make this inevitable, you need to stop thinking about study sessions and start thinking about the ritual. The 30-minute architecture. You don't need hours, you need consistency. Here's how you integrate these pillars into a single day without it feeling like a second job. 8 a.m., the maintenance, 5 minutes. While you're waking up or drinking coffee, open your SRS app, Anki/Memrise. Clear your warehouse reviews. This tells your brain, this information is still vital for survival. 12 p.m., the infusion, 15 minutes. During your commute or lunch, put on your fuel. Listen to a podcast or a YouTube video in the target language. Don't stress about understanding every word. Just let the rhythm hit your ears. 8 p.m., the strain, 10 minutes. This is the gym phase. Write 3 sentences about your day or record a 60-second voice memo to yourself in the language. If you can't find a word, that is a win. It's a missing piece for your warehouse tomorrow.